You have no idea the great things that God has in store for you. You have no idea. So I guess the big turning point for our stewardship thing is the whole NFP experience, natural family planning, that my wife and I, we initially were just ignorant of the teaching, and then it came down to basically my wife kind of just saying, look, we've got to live out this faith, and this is part of this faith. And I had a hard time with that, but a lot of prayer and reading and God's grace, it just made sense. I think from that time, that natural family planning experience, that has been the beginning domino for me for how God spoke to me about stewardship and tithing and being generous with time, talent, treasure, and all those things. If I could trust God with our family size, it made it much easier when it came down to the teaching on tithing and things like that, of what God wants me to do with His money. For me, that was my big hurdle. Take my money and take my time and take my talent. That stuff was secondary. So that's the beautiful thing about how God works, is that once you completely are all in and you understand that teaching and you love it and you embrace it, and that's who you are, all these graces start pouring down from other areas that you didn't expect, and it's, wow, never saw this. Being Christian and a Catholic, it's exciting because you don't know where God's going to take you. And for us, NFP led us into that idea and that concept of, like I said, being generous with God's gifts. My dad, he was great. I love him. He taught me great things, and he always said, be responsible, pay yourself first, make sure. And so that was my mentality. And so by the time I paid myself first, and I paid the mortgage, and I paid the bills, I didn't really have anything left for God. Sorry, God. I didn't have a nice car, I didn't have great houses, I just don't have any left. And now understanding the fact that it's none of it's mine to begin with, we start with God first and what He wants. And so on our budget, when we do our bills every 2 weeks, the first line item on our bills is Holy Redeemer tithe. And that's the first thing that comes out, period. It's a non-negotiable. And then the house payment's next, and then our food is next. Like, that comes first. And it is what it is. That's what comes out. And I think it's not even thought about. It's just like almost paying the house payment. You don't think, oh, what could I get with that? Or what could I get with that? Or, oh, imagine we can buy with that. It doesn't even enter. And I think one of the reasons it doesn't enter is because one of the other graces or blessings or fruits that come from stewardship and your tithing is, at least for me, it's just freed me from wanting those things. And so there's a piece to that, which was another grace that I didn't even see coming. I'm not lack of wanting money. I'm not missing anything, and I never understood that, And so I think that's been a great fruit of that indifference to stuff. And that in turn, since we don't have that stuff to distract us, whether it be cable or video game systems, or to be able to go on these great weekend getaways, we're at Holy Redeemer more. We have time for our faith. We can sit down as a family and do Advent things after dinner, because we're not just distracting ourselves with running around and having all this extra disposable income on things that don't really mean anything. The tithing is not about giving money. It's not about that at all. It's about all the great fruit that comes from, it's kind of putting where your mouth is in terms of trust. And that just kind of really reinforces that. And I think the thing that I would say also really helps is having a great support system of people around you, people who are inspiringly generous. The Kudwa family here is so generous with their time and their talents and their treasures. We have really close friends with that we can have these real conversations with. Just gives you a piece of God will provide. And we're at Holy Redeemer 2 years ago, and Father Steve gives that homily, and I look at my 5 kids and Catholic education and the support here. I have tears coming down my face, and He provides. And so I think tithing is not about money, it's just about trust. God asks you to do it, do it. And the whole point of that is just to deepen that relationship with God, and how much better things are in terms of spiritually or relationship-wise. Not having more things, it allows you to get deeper in your faith, because you don't have those other things to distract you from getting deeper in your faith, and that's been a blessing too. You have no idea the great things that God has in store for you. You have no idea.